Most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit.
How bad do you want this?
Because the people who actually change history
You ever walk into a guy's den and see a picture of him standing next to 14 trout?
don't look for comfort.
No, he's holding a 3,000-pound marlin.
They look for an obsession. A refusal to play the game handed down by the world. So just pause for a second. Are you improving just for the sake of it? Are you playing just another game? Or are you creating one? The other day, I saw a guy bench 225. He was in good shape, so I went up to him and asked for his training regimen, diet, etc. And he told me that he was training for about 4 times a week, trying to cut out junk food, and just eat whatever has a lot of protein. And then he drinks some protein drink from the gas station every now and then. And to me, he seemed like the complete antithesis of the guy who obsesses over the sciencey stuff, counting every milligram of protein, tracking macros, and calculating optimal rest periods. And it was weird because I always thought that the guys who had what I wanted were the guys who completely obsessed about optimizing every factor of the formula, every aspect. But it turns out they obsessed about a different thing. And he's not the exception. I've met quite a lot of people who are the same. Sure, they might have different personalities and stuff, but if there is one thing that keeps them together, it's the love for the game.
Winning isn't all that, and neither is losing. It's just something that happens. It's the outcome. But what matters is the input and
But
the
when you
journey.
look around you, people are just, quote, doing the right things because they are the right things. People who bought Atomic Habits because they want to bring their life intact, not even knowing what the book is about, thinking it will change them. Going to therapy believing their therapist will fix them. So many people have the idea that someone or something is coming to save them when they finally find their soulmate, when they've found a fulfilling career, when they've got their dream physique, when they've graduated from this and that school. Then they can live life, if they get there, which statistically they don't. No one is coming to save you.
No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. No one's coming.
Quote, no one is going to value you more than you value yourself. You just have to sell your soul to your competence. If you are deeply obsessively interested in something, it will feel like play to you, but look like work to others. Escape competition through authenticity. No one can compete with you on being you.
I'm not a psychiatrist, but
I'm glad we've got that on the record.
You're not a psychiatrist, but what?
a psychiatrist would say that he was paranoid.
If I asked you which one is easier, making 5K or 25K, logically you would say 5K. But that isn't the truth, because the moment a goal seems sure, achievable, without risk, heck, throw in the entire SMART goal formula, your brain sources out and focuses its energy into other places. But when you have an immeasurably high goal, your brain doesn't know how much it needs to invest. You move from the minimum principle to the maximum principle. And just like that, you outsmart Parkinson's law. Or to say it in the words of David J. Schwartz, quote, when you bind yourself to a massive goal, your mind develops the automated filtering to find solutions that are completely invisible to the small thinker, end quote. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, you name it. But even a small cold island went to control the world's ocean because they didn't know the word enough. And even the US. In The Rise and Fall of Great Powers, Paul Kennedy explains that the wealth and dominance of an empire depend entirely on maintaining a massive, almost impossible gap between its current reality and its future ambitions. It's how Alexander the Great was able to conquer the entire known world. The exact moment an empire stops reaching for the unachievable and settles for what is safe, the entire system is infected. Point is, you've got to be a bit crazy. You don't want 30 trout, but one big win.
You don't even know what the thing is yet. How big it can get, how far it can go. This is no time to take your chips down. $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion valuation.
The thing that makes the difference is obsession. What you need to understand is that everybody is obsessing over something in their lives, at least subconsciously, because obsession is a biological superpower. Most people just direct it the wrong way. They direct it towards video games, Netflix, or the upcoming World Cup. The mechanism is already working inside you. That raw focus just needs to be redirected away from cheap entertainment and toward a massive dream. The second thing is having the courage to break the rules. This one might seem off topic. Think about why people constantly choose chaotic, unpredictable partners over the predictable nice guy who optimizes his schedule. It's not because they're crazy, it's because humans are biologically wired to crave excitement, danger, and the absolute thrill that comes with an unhinged personality. Almost like they're saying, I'm going to show you a world, the unknown, you don't even know about. People fundamentally admire the sheer courage it takes to break the rules, the norms, but not necessarily the law. The example might seem like a broad overgeneralization, which it is, but you get the idea. We all secretly admire these people, the ones who shatter the unspoken rules we are told to follow. Don't do this, don't do that. People will talk, people will spread rumors. The average person is paralyzed by social expectations, but the moment you stop caring about the invisible boundaries society sets for you, you become unpredictable. Or to say it in the words of a classic pep talk, quote, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man." End quote. If you want to build something monumental, you have to stop being reasonable. You have to step out of the safe zone, embrace the chaos, and force your circumstances to adapt to you. Quote, "You must give up the life you planned in order to have the life that is waiting for you. The old skin must be shed before the new one can come."
I want to be one of the greats.
For everything you wish for in this life, you need to ask yourself one question. What are you willing to give up in return? After all, you don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies. In the early 1900s, scientists argued that man could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. They published papers claiming that the human lungs would burst and that the heart would give out, that the body was biologically incapable of such a feat. And everyone believed science. Everyone believed the boundary was real. And so no one broke it until Roger Bannister came along. He ignored the experts, sacrificed everything to the track, and broke the 4-minute barrier. And here's what happened next. Within weeks and months, several runners broke the record again and again and again. The physical limitation is not the thing that changed. It did not just magically disappear, but the psychological boundary did. When you don't know how far you can go, and when you refuse to accept the limits handed down by society, by people, nobody knows, not even science, where your actual ceiling is. But you have to be willing to pay the price. If you aren't willing to sacrifice your comfort, your weakness, or your need to be liked by average people, the vision remains a fantasy. You need to step into the unknown to return transformed. If you show the daily schedule of a true visionary to a modern psychiatrist, they wouldn't call it optimal. They would call it crazy. They would try to cure it, try to fix the person. And from a normal perspective, they are right. It is a form of madness. But to quote a clinical psychologist, John D. Gartner from The Hypomanic Edge, quote, "Hypomanic visionaries possess an immense, almost pathological energy. They are driven, bold, filled with an unshakable belief, and require less sleep. They are filled with an unshakable belief in their own destiny. What the DSM classifies as a psychiatric condition is often the exact biological engine that drives human progress. Madness. But history isn't written by normal people. It is written by people who took that internal imbalance and made it their own. Be it Isaac Newton, Vincent van Gogh, or Ludwig van Beethoven. You could call them paranoid, psychotic, or depressed. So the question arises, were they really geniuses in their respective fields, or crazy? But this is exactly where things get dangerous. How do you become one of the greats without becoming a narcissist? The distinction comes down to submission. The narcissist wants to be big, so the world looks at them. The obsessed individual, however, wants to be so big they can execute their vision. One serves the ego, the other makes the ego serve the goal. Quote, "The pioneer is driven by the conviction of their vision, submitting themselves entirely to the purpose. The egotist is driven by the validation of their crowd, trapped in a constant need to prove superiority. One builds a monumental mission, the other builds a cage for themselves." End quote. When you strip away the noise, the true greats don't care about looking like a god. They care about making their vision a reality. So again, what direction are you headed? What are you living for? What game are you playing? Are you trying to improve to become the person society tells you need to be, the version that will be accepted or loved? Or are you improving for a dream you can call yours, since every great dream requires sacrifice? After all, there is no genius with a touch of madness.